President Trump hitting back at Iran after freedom protests across that nation turned deadly. The president announcing a 25% tariff on any country that conducts business with Iran. He's also issuing a stark and direct warning to the Iranian regime, all options on the table. In a Truth Social post just this morning, President Trump encouraged protesters to keep fighting, saying, quote, help is on the way. Jackie, China, this would mean a new 25% tariff, an end to this trade fight pause from October. China is the biggest trading partner with Iran, then the UAE, Turkey, India, and Oman.
Yeah, and this heats everything up again in a tariff situation that was starting to just settle. So we were getting a break from that, and oil prices are up a little bit today, but not as much as they would have been if we were talking about this, 20 years ago. So that's positive, and we're already in a lowered place because of President Trump. So around the $60 mark, I'm not really worried about it. Usually I would take my time to dig into the oil aspect of it, but today I just rather do something else.
Sure.
I was particularly struck by the story of one 26-year-old. His name is Irfan Soltani. He's scheduled to be hanged to death in Iran after he was arrested during the protests. That scheduling is for tomorrow. We are reporting, many outlets are reporting, more than 500 people have been killed in the protests. That's sort of the unofficial official number. The Jerusalem Post is reporting that over 12,000 people have been killed so far. There are many reports on X that the hospitals are completely overwhelmed, that the scene in the streets is pretty gruesome. And I think about this individual, 26 years old, didn't ask for this regime to come into power, but is in a situation where he is risking his life, and ultimately his life tomorrow can come to an end as he tries with so many other young people to try to overthrow this government. President Trump and the tariff aspect of this, I think he's going in stages. I've always told everybody, whether we're talking about business strategies, tariff strategies, foreign policy strategies, that you have to trust him, that there's a method to his madness. I think the same rules apply here. I think starting with the tariffs is phase one, but he means it when he says all options are on the table. I think if there was any opportunity for the Iranian people to become free of this oppressive regime and situation that they're in, it's now, and I think they recognize that. They've tried to rise up before, but never like this. I think they understand if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna risk your life, if you're gonna be hanged in the public square tomorrow, you want President Trump to have your back, and I think that he will. His Truth Social post, Dagan, that you referenced this morning, almost places himself as sort of a revolutionary strategist, giving them advice on what to do. So I wait to see what happens, like everybody else does. I'm appalled by all the people who protested in America and around the world in support of Gaza and Hamas and the humanitarian violations that were occurring there, but are remaining silent on this situation. And I think it tells you that there's a larger problem with ideology, and that was never about the people in that particular situation, but it was support of this heinous ideology, which the silence, I think, also speaks to.
I saw a photo of what was the globalized, the Intifada encampment up at Columbia, and it was just green grass. And that just speaks to the complete emptiness of that movement, and the fact that they don't really stand for anything other than their own power grab, the pro-Hamas protesters, which are now anti-ICE protesters. But anybody just jump in here, because tariffs are one of President Trump's chosen weapons, and certainly oil, or to cut off oil exports out of Iran, because they are running, oil production is at the highest level since the late 70s. And oil exports, say to China, where 90% of its exports go, are at an all-time high. And it's making, even in the fall, like that's one area the Trump administration has not focused on, is stopping those oil exports. Iran is making still close to $50 billion a year. And that's at cheap cost selling to the teapot refineries in China.
So I can jump on that, and then, Kenny and Brian weigh in. There are reports that a large share of Iran's production, 2 million barrels a day, Dagan, to your point, goes directly to Chinese refineries. So again, how do some of those get rerouted if there is major supply disruptions in that region? That region is the Strait of Hormuz, and I know we talked about that during the bunker buster program in Iran, right? And that ended up being a nothing burger, thankfully then. But again, if that's sort of the backbone of global oil supply, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, UAE, Qatar, they all go through there, right? So if there are broader regions, I think that's the region to watch if there is sort of this escalation. This 25% tariff, though, Brian, is interesting because we don't really know what doing business with Iran means. That post from Trump was limited in detail, effectively just saying a 25% tariff, but it would affect those major economies with Iran. It is China, it's India, it's Turkey, but those are trading partners with Tehran, but also Washington. So I do wonder, and I think, 1,000 different ways to go here. Is this, and this is a question, a broader spillover economically than the bunker buster? Is this more contained like we saw? And finally, Jackie, I echo your notes yesterday. I cannot wait to see the social justice warriors who were silent on the issue today.
So here's the thing that changed for me between, remember when Larry used to come on our show and he'd say, interdict the ships? And he was talking about Iran and China and oil. He said, interdict the ships, right? Okay. He used to say that a lot. But the thing that changed is all those Venezuelan tankers that we have been seizing over the last several weeks. And I think if you're one of these Iranian leaders and you have seen that, you have said to yourself, that's something that I have not seen, that guy, Mr. Trump, is willing to do. You use the phrase, all options on the table. I think what's so powerful about President Trump on this is he makes the word options very concrete. Yeah. He might seize your ship. He might apprehend a leader who's wanted criminally. He might drop bombs on your nuclear facility. Those are all options in the set of things he has done in the last year. And to me, that's why I think more than ever, Jackie, and you're the expert, I'm not, I think there's a possibility that these leaders in Iran leave before they see any of that stuff happen again, because they know Trump will do it. It's called deterrence.
He means business. And it's been clear, right? Because to your point, he said it, he's done it in Venezuela, he's done it here, he's done it in Iran already. So he does what he says he's going to do. He doesn't back off, and I think you're right, that they recognize it.
They're worried about that. Obviously, I think Maduro was kind of the last straw of that worry. There were reports, I believe, last week that it was the supreme leader that was making plans to flee to Russia. Thinking about how he would exit the way Bashar al-Assad did from Syria. We'll see.
And President Trump said in that Truth Social post that he has canceled all meetings with Iranian officials.
Right.
And before we go, just Venezuela and Iran together, what's happening in Venezuela with potential oil production increases, which could go up 50%, just in the short run, regardless of what that guy at ExxonMobil had to say on Friday. There are two companies that are helping with the marketing of the oil, the 50 million barrels of oil that are in stockpiles. They're in talks with large Indian and Chinese refiners over potential sales of that Venezuelan crude. So that helps fill the gap and create some crude diplomacy to backfill what's happening, what might be cut off coming out of Iran. So
heavy crude diplomacy.
Yes.
It's pretty heavy.
But we can refine it and then send it there.
There you go.